All right, welcome to another Sports Injury Central Pro Football Doc podcast. This is the first of our off-season podcasts with guests where we have lots of time. And our first guest is the great Philip Rivers. Lots of stories, lots of fun. Welcome to the show, Philip.
Hey, Doc. How's it going? Good to see you.
Good. I see you representing Chargers there, and we, I got complimented here on the way in here. The boys in the room, the producer and whatever, heard about your technical difficulties, and they compared you to me, like we're both the same. I'm like, take that. I don't know anything. This is Pat McAfee style, phone. It's all good.
I'm telling you, a computer is asking me to do too many things. I don't know about all that. I'm better with a ball, or I guess nowadays with a whistle in my hand.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Absolutely here. Well, let's just go with it. Since you said this, ball or in your hand or whistle, what's better? Do you prefer the ball in your hand or the whistle? Of course, your son's the quarterback and the whole deal. Do you like controlling all of it? Compare and contrast, football coach or quarterback?
Well, there's quite a few similarities, but I love them both. I tell you what, though, it was probably not as nerve-wracking actually having the ball in my hand than it is on the sideline with your son and the ball in his hand on a 2-minute drive or in the midst of a game. But it's a blast. I'm enjoying the heck out of it. You mentioned Gunnar as the quarterback, and obviously daughters are in the school. My other son, Pete, was the ball boy. My brother's coaching with me. My dad, mom are at the game. So it's like going back in time 30 years ago when I was playing for my dad and his ball boy. We're kind of getting to relive all that. So it's awesome. And I enjoy being around these young men. I mean, 14 to 18-year-old boys are formative years for them. So we talk about it all the time, trying to make it more than just the football, helping them, grow as a man, to be better for having been in the program, because we all know the stats. You and I have talked about it, right? The percentages of these guys going on to play in college and even smaller in the pros, their football career for most are going to end, after that last game as a senior year. So if we just help them on the football field, then we kind of miss the boat there. So I think that makes me, fired up about every day, is because it's more than just the game. Although we get the game, it's bigger than just that.
Spoken like a true parent there, right? More nervous with the whistle because it's your
Man,
son, right? And so forth. And Gunnar's pretty good, huh?
He's got a chance. Yeah, he's got a chance to be real good. Yeah, I mean, I think back to when I was a freshman. I barely, if Dad hadn't been the coach, I wouldn't have known where the varsity locker room was. And now he's, playing varsity quarterback as a freshman. So he's still got 3 good years ahead of him. But he's got a good head on his shoulders. He kind of took it all in stride this year. He's a good teammate, and I'm happy how he's handled the whole kind of thing of being the quarterback, also dad, the coach. You want that to be as I guess smooth, and you never know how that's going to go. And he's handled all that part of it great. And the guys, and that shows in how he interacts with his teammates and his classmates. So it's been a lot of fun. He's got 3 more years, and then Pete, Gunnar's senior year, Pete will be a freshman. So we'll see how Pete plays a little quarterback too. So there could be Rivers at quarterback for almost 7-8 years in running, I guess.
All right. So the number one question is, do Gunnar and Pete have dad's throwing motion?
Gunnar does, eerily similar. It's probably a little more, I guess, orthodox than I was, but there are some similarities. Pete's a little more traditional, I guess. So, but yeah, I think it's a little bit. I used to always think, I told you that story about it being from throwing a big ball when I was little. I still think there was a little bit to do with that, but Gunnar didn't throw a big ball when he was little, and he still has that same. So it may just be in our blood.
So the question is it genetics, or is he just mimicking dad, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there could be a little bit of both, right?
Probably
there.
a little of both.
Well, I always remember whenever I think of Gunnar, I know exactly how old he is always, because your ACL surgery was, we're going to push it back by a week because, Gunnar was coming, your first boy, right? And then you said, "Oh, my wife Tiffany just went to the doctor. We're good. Can we do it
Yeah.
tomorrow?" And we did it before I left for the X Games. And I still remember and that linkage. So I always remember how old Gunnar is. But I will tell you this, and I'd like to shout you out for this because of how special of a guy you are. One of the most meaningful things ever from sports is you texted me 10 years from the day from your ACL, and obviously Gunnar was 10 there and the whole deal and a thank you. And so definitely that's just the kind of guy that you are, who remembers stuff like that and does that. So I appreciate that a lot.
Well, I think Doc, along those lines, it was people asked what I guess accomplishment or record or what was most meaningful, and it's really more the people and the memories than anything. But when I think about it, you knew how important it was to me to be out there every Sunday,
And for the record, it wasn't crazy Dr. Chao who forced you to play or the team that forced you to play on your torn ACL for that AFC championship game. It was Phillip Rivers who, even as we look, my header picture in Twitter is still us walking out in the final game of the RCA Dome. You can see it by the roof as you had that little discussion with the fans, And no, you did not swear. You did not swear. The fan was swearing at you. You did not swear. All you said was, "Don't you worry, I'll be back." And yes, you wagged your finger, but no, you did not swear. And as we walked off there, and it started then, you were relentless. I still remember you wanted to come back into the game, and I made Damon Mitchell, our athletic trainer, snap you the football, and you pretend to get under center, and you couldn't do it. And that's when you finally agreed that you can't get back into this game. But immediately you switched to next week. I got to play next week, the AFC Championship game against the undefeated Patriots that year. And you were the one lobbying. And I still remember on the plane flight home, you were lobbying. And as you got off the bus and snuck in the side entrance to get the MRI at the parking lot, since the thing was blocked off, the Chargers Welcome Home blocked it off. And then the next morning with Coach Turner, Norv Turner, saying to you, "Phillip, Billy's got this. You take care of your knee." And you're like, no, let's go. And you made it.
That was a crazy week. I remember that plane ride home, coming back to your seat multiple times to ask you, what do you
relentless
think? Yeah,
relentless.
Like, nothing's going to change in this 4-hour flight. Like, I kept wanting answers. But I was going to just say that over that 16 years there, and that being able to be out there in every game, obviously it took a lot of God's protection for good health. It took an element of toughness, and it took a group of people to be able to be a part of it all. So you ask why, how, obviously remember 10 years to the day and send you that note, but certainly thanks to you and the training staff and so many teammates, obviously, that played a hand in allowing me to be out there for 250 in a row or whatever it ended up being. So a lot of people involved in that.
No question, and a few needles in between. And we'll get to that. You had your share of injuries, and you had more injuries than people knew about, for sure. Everyone's like, "Oh, he stayed healthy." Yeah, he played through a lot of stuff. We can get to that. But I'll tell you one funny story is that when we were in New England there, and Junior and I were friends and whatever, and that Friday night after we got in, there was some talk where we might get together, but he's like, "I can't make it." And then he said he couldn't make it. And he texts me, he goes, literally, this is what he said. He goes, "You can tell me, we all know 17 tore his ACL and isn't going to play on Sunday. You can tell me." And of course I just did LOL and I didn't answer that question there. All right. So let's get to it. Okay. So what do you think your signature moment is? Just the playing through all the injuries and so forth, or what do you think your signature moment is?
I don't know. We had a lot of great moments. Obviously that year making that run to the championship game, and obviously you and I are sitting here talking about my injury, but we had so many guys hurt that game.
Yes.
Who knows if it'd have been different? But that stretch from 06, 09 was a special stretch. Obviously disappointing in many ways that we didn't win a championship, or a couple for that matter. But I don't know. There's just so many highlights throughout the years. There's some low points, but I really just grateful. I think just grateful for the stretch that we had and the people we did it with. I sit here today and I'm not any less fulfilled of a person because we didn't win it all in those years. I certainly wish we had of, but it's the relationships you built, the teammates, that you had those memories with the bus rides and the plane rides in the locker room and sitting in there after a training camp and sitting in the sauna and the cold tub and the weight room and the meeting rooms. I mean, it's all those that you miss. Do I miss a little bit of, being out there trying to drive to win or throwing a touchdown to Gates or Keenan, or of course you miss those things, but I think it's the other parts that you miss. But more than anything, you're just thankful for having all those friendships and memories with so many different guys.
Yeah, definitely. No question about it. People have asked me about a signature moment. What's so funny is I need you to set the record straight here on this one. I'm not the guy that injected Tyrod Taylor's ribs, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
that was not you.
That was in LA. How many times do you think I did a rib block or intercostal nerve block on you throughout your career? Rough guess.
I don't know. I don't know if you know the number, but quite a few.
Well, I look at it this way. Every time you had a broken rib and you needed it, it was multiple weeks. And there were at least 3 or 4 occasions that you had broken ribs that, may not have been on injury reports and what have you. And you would, we'd bring you into the training room, the locker room, and get everyone out of there and do the rib block. And I don't know, I'd say it's at least 20 times. I mean, I'm not sure.
Whatever it is, Doc, you're batting 1,000. I don't know that we never had one go bad on us, and it always got it done. I was always able to get through the weeks, in practice, but it was just you get to the point where it's just like, man, how's it going to affect that next series? It was the getting up from one of those that you didn't know, but and thankfully though we never had, it didn't compound. Like you said, it would be a couple weeks, and then I would say, hey, I think we're clear. I think we're in the clear this week, and we were good to go.
Yeah, no, absolutely. My assistant counted for me once, and he said he thought it probably reached 100 different rib blocks throughout my career as a head team physician. I think at least 20 were on you. You were the number one rib block person, absolutely there.
I remember getting on that table and laying on that towel, and you saying, "Open it up." Push on the spot. I was like, I can find it.
In old school, this is at a time before ultrasound was in there and you had guidance. Yeah. It was like Mr. Miyagi style, right? Let's just put it in the right spot. But the key is too deep is no bueno, Tyrod Taylor, right? And not deep enough means it doesn't work, and right, and kind of thing. So, all right, so that's let's just put it for the record that you have this definite streak and health streak, but I think it was as much toughness and will playing through rib fractures and foot injuries and ACL tears and everything else as anything else, because you just weren't going to miss. I mean, as indicated on the plane ride home from Indy, relentless. It's like, I mean, I will admit we were joking around like, oh, here he comes again. Here's another question. You were relentless, which is awesome.
No, there definitely was a toughness element to it, and some of that was, my upbringing. I remember being told early on, if you can get away, you don't lay out there on that field and make somebody come get you. If you can get off, find a way to get off. So, I mean, I heard that as an early age, and I think, and then some of it became a respect factor with your teammates, and you think about all the linemen we had that dealt with significant injuries, from Hardwick to Dillman to Marcus McNeil to Jeremy Clary to Mike Goff, and I'll leave guys out unintentionally. So many. I can go Mooch and just so many. I apologize to those I left out, but those guys fought through so many things too, and it was kind of like, man, we the guy that's taking, the guy that's under center every week is going to be out there for us no matter what. And so there was an element of that that I think over time, goes a long way in determining just kind of the way your team operates and the way your team feels about you. And it's not to do it to get a pat on the back, but it works both ways.
Well, this conversation is great here, and honestly, I feel like I talk to you all the time right now because of all your high school kids. I feel like I should come to a game on the sideline with you once,
Come on.
and
You got the red shirt on. You'd fit right in with the Cardinal red.
yeah, and I feel like I'm your team physician, right, or try to help out and talk to you all the time, and it's kind of fun. But I know you're all about football, faith, and family, no particular order, and I'm not putting it in the right order there. But how settle this here. How close were you to playing for the 49ers? Not this year, the year before. There was Shanahan talked about it.
Yeah, I mean, it was real. It was real. I was, you probably can even tell now I'm a little heavier than I was. I'm not quite my prime playing weight, but there was a stretch there where I was throwing, I was putting on shoulder pads and kind of going through the route tree. My brother was catching. I was trying to get myself in a position to at least be able to make the decision and not have to say no because I wasn't physically ready. So I was getting there. I don't know that the further it went, the less likely it was for me, just because I really didn't want to feel like a guest quarterback. If it would have been one of those where the last 3 weeks of the season and then into the playoffs, you feel like you got a chance to build some rapport and you feel a part of the team. I heard coaches' comments, and I'm not here to deflect or say who's right or not right. Was I going to sign the week of the Super Bowl and play? I don't think I could have got there personally. Just because then you feel really like the guest quarterback. Does it even feel the same if you win it? Like you weren't even part of the climb up the mountain, and then yet if you don't win it, it's like, man, they chose the wrong guy to try to, save the Niners at the end. So I don't know that I would have done it down to the last game, but yeah, there was some truth to it, somewhat leading up to it, as the injuries compounded there on the Niners.
Well, that's interesting. It makes sense because I thought, like a lot of people, this was spurred because Brock Purdy hurt his elbow, but this was a contingency plan well before that Eagles NFC Championship game where he hurt his elbow. Leading up to it, as you said, you were working out and
yeah, I think it was a little more. Again, it was a little more out of respect to John Lynch, who I have a friendship with and played against, and daughters were in the same school. I think it was more so. It was more when Garoppolo went down, and it was here we're going to roll with Purdy, and they really liked the guy, and it's obviously shown the player he is. They thought really, really, really highly of him. That was very clear to me as a rookie. But it was we got to see, right? Because we felt like they had a team that could make a run and win it. So that's kind of when the conversation started, was before when they found out who we all know Purdy to be now, which is a heck of a player. So I think it was a little more of that. And then as Purdy got rolling, it was like, okay, we're good. And then of course he goes down against the Eagles. But and then wow, what a recovery he had. I mean, he had a heck of a recovery, and with the elbow deal, and then came back and had a heck of a season again this year. But so some of that chatter was fun, not fun necessarily for me. I didn't care from a public perception, but it was fun for me a little bit. Like, man, I've been out a year and somebody may still want me, So it was kind of fun to go kind of train again and throw. And I even did a little bit of it again this year. After our season ended right around November 1st, more so, not because anybody was calling, more so, hey, stay ready. And why not? It kind of gives me, our season ends so early, we get it. If you win the state championship in Alabama, you go to the first week of December. We got in the playoffs this year, first time in school history, which was great for us. But, we got done first week of November, and it's just, man, football's over. It's November, December, January. It's like, man, football can't be over this soon. So it's fun for me to kind of stay in it. And of course, I watch every week. Watch the Chargers and the Colts are kind of the two teams you pull for, that you played for, and then you end up, I've found, which I'm sure you have so many relationships still around the league. You end up pulling for people you end up pulling for people both players and coaches. And so that's fun for us. We all watch still on Sundays. The channels are flipping all over the place.
And people say to me, "Oh, you're a Chargers fan." Look, of course I like the Chargers, but when the two teams are playing, it's who do you know more people, or who you better friends with, because you're rooting for people, not the helmet, not the logo.
That's
and
right.
We still have a lot of connections with the Chargers, so of course we root for them. But yeah, I think it is totally different. So here's the one thing that I always said about you. football, family, and faith, no particular order. Very faith-driven guy, family guy. And by the way, I can tell you're such a good guy. Like, yeah, you a couple extra LBs right now because sympathy weight, right? You just had your 10th, and saw you out at Norv's retirement party with Tiffany, and that's when you told me you had your 10th coming. So you got a streeter van full, or actually some have graduated the streeter van, right? Or the sprinter van, right?
Four driving now. But yeah, little Andrew's about 4 months old. So yeah, we've got never a dull moment. That's for sure.
Yeah. Are the kids still homeschooled, some of them, or how do you do it now?
Yeah, a couple of them are the younger ones, and then a handful are in the feeder system at the elementary school, parochial school down the road, and then a couple here at the high school. So yeah, it's more the afternoon schedule that's like a jigsaw puzzle. Who's got what practice and who's going where. So keeps us on the toes.
Gotcha. Well, the room here, the Pro Football Doc room here, they're like 10 kids and all this stuff. And so it's not me. I'm with you. I take the under. Good Will Hunting style. Remember that scene when he named his 12 brothers in that Good Will Hunting scene? The room has wanted me to challenge you to name your 10 kids in under 10 seconds. Go.
Hallie, Caroline, Grace, Gunnar, Sarah, Pete, Rebecca, Claire, Anna, Andrew.
You could probably do their birth dates too. See, I win. Pay up, you guys. You guys are like, how does he keep us? Come on, there's kids. Yeah. Like Good Will Hunting style. Boom, no problem.
Piece of cake.
And the 11th and 12th won't be an issue either.
Right? You never know, Don.
Oh, you never know. But you touched on a few things there. When people are always asking me about, is Philip going to come back and play in the NFL? I said, maybe, but here's the thing. Faith, family, right? And that's, I think, one of the reasons you hung it up, because to have your family go with you to Indy, it's, you always wanted to be in the Panhandle, Florida. The sooner you get there, the better. That's why you didn't move your family when the Chargers moved to LA, right? You kept them in San Diego and you commuted. You're a family guy. And in the end, there's a toll on your family to keep playing. Faith, of course, is always there. But I always said football. You're a football guy. And it's not NFL football. It's just football. And so you're coaching, you get that football fix. And the other thing, I was very convinced that you would never leave your high school football team. And you said it here. Maybe when your high school season is over, there would be an opportunity, but not before that. You've made a commitment to the boys and you were never going to leave that.
Yeah, you got it. You nailed it. I mean, that's kind of was the first, year 1 and 2 out, where I thought, okay, I'm not dying to play again, but if something came out, it was the perfect team scenario, knew the coach, knew, somewhere where you felt like, yeah, that could feel like a fit right away, but it was going to always be after that, after our season concluded for sure. And, and the first year here, Gunnar wasn't the quarterback, so it truly was for this team. And you know how I operate with the team, and so yeah, you're dead on in that. There's never any consideration until this season ends, our season ends. But I think that's those decisions have probably come and gone. Going into year 4 now, it's crazy. I can't believe it's already been 3 out. So going into year 4 out, but it's I feel good. I feel healthy. I'm thankful for that. Loving coaching at this high school. Family's happy. Kind of getting to see now with Gunnar over the next few years, kind of how it shakes out with him, and keeping up with old coaches and teammates, and kind of keeps me in the loop, even in the off season, talking to Shane and Indy about, what, things they're running and things they're putting in and things like that. It keeps you connected. Nick Hardwick now getting the assistant line job, with the Chargers. Yeah. That's fun. I've always kept up with him. And so that's fun now with him kind of in the mix. So it's all good. Like you said, the football, I'm getting it. It was never just NFL football. We're about to start hearing about the bell's going to ring here in about 5 minutes, and we'll go to 8th period and weightlifting and go out on the field and throw routes and kind of have a spring day getting going here at the high school. So it's all good.
One of your other big legacies is you never swear. And I know that. Although there's that one time where, you might have said SHIT, which I don't even think is a swear word, but you still deny saying that. Kind of deal. Now, I know you're not swearing in high school and whatever, but one of your assistant coaches or the players on occasion, do they swear? And what do you do about it? Do they ever swear?
Yeah, no, that's kind of a it's not tolerated. And our staff's great with it. And yeah, I mean, there's been the occasion where we've had a player or two and they get the appropriate punishment for that. But it's good. It's just kind of the environment we're trying to, have and be around. And it's just like anything, right? We all have things that, quote unquote, whether you struggle with or things that you can do better on. So I don't by any means think I'm better than the next guy. That's just something that's been kind of how I've operated in terms of vocabulary I've used. So not that I think I'm better than anyone, but so we try to create that same environment.
What's your favorite non-swear word now?
Same environment. It's
Or
probably
is it the same?
Probably dadgum.
Yeah, that's a recycled one. Yeah,
Yeah, I use that one quite a bit. Yeah, that one probably gets overused, to be honest with you. Plenty of those go around today.
Do your players say that too now?
I get, it's funny because early on these guys, they all watched me play, and so I would get the reference I got the most was 90-yard touchdown. They've let me hear that one quite a bit, but it's good. I'm thankful for how quickly I just became their coach. They know my past, they know I played, but how quickly I've just become their coach, just like these other coaches, and we're here to help them get better and mold them to be better. I mean, these are the guys that are going to be doctors and lawyers and teachers and who knows what, in the future. And I want them to be able to say, I played for St. Michael in 2022, and I remember learning this, or the toughness that we learned here and the sacrifice we made, or all the things that we did. It's the virtue that you want them to instill in them so that they're husbands and fathers that are respectable in years to come.
All right. How does a North Carolina State great get to mentoring, tutoring, or coaching or advising a UNC guy, a North Carolina guy, Drake Maye?
Yeah, so Drake was down here. Him and Bo Nix and Carter Bradley, Gus's son, were down here training with David Morris, at QB Country. David does a great job. He's had a long list of guys, now that some that have been up through his program from when they were in middle school, some that have come to him, pre-draft stuff. And he's right over the bay in Mobile. So David and I have developed a friendship over the years. And so we was able to connect with David and get with those guys and throw and do some things in the meeting room. It was fun getting to know him a little bit. I wasn't around Drake a ton, but a few times I was around him. It was enjoyable. Bo Nix and Carter Bradley as well. Carter's pro days coming up here in 10 days or so. I'm going to be able to be a part of that with him, which is fun because I kind of followed Carter all the way up once we hired Gus, through high school and going up to Ohio and then coming back down ended up in South Alabama, his last 2 years, which is 30 minutes away from us. So it's been kind of cool to follow his career and now be a part of this pro day. So I've enjoyed that. And yeah, Drake's a heck of a player. All three of those guys throw it good. So yeah, it was fun. The Wolfpack and UNC, little head to head there. It was good.
Well, I figured I knew everything about you and I didn't need to do any research for this, little segment. It's just a conversation here. You realize I was in the room when we drafted Eli Manning that year. And there was a lot of tension there because we wanted you, obviously, and the Giants knew it. But I don't know if you know this, but when the Giants picked you, AJ Smith and the room basically cheered because they knew the trade was already done, right? That the Giants blinked and you were coming our way. But I did learn something brand new about you that I would have lost a lot of money on, that now I'll probably use as a trivia question. You actually rushed for more yardage than Eli Manning in your career. I mean, I could have made a lot of money on that quiz question. The boys in the room pulled that up. You have 601 career rushing yards to Eli Manning's 567. Now, your yards per carry is not that good, but there's some kneel downs in there, so that it brings it down.
I wouldn't think the yards per carry would be real high. That I did not know that, so I learned something today too. I did not know that.
So you and Eli are tied because of the draft, and you are known as the top quarterback sneak. You don't rush the ball, but you have more rushing yards in your career than Eli Manning does.
There we go.
There you go. All right, Philip, thank you. I know the bell's about to ring. Appreciate the conversation, catching up, and I'm sure we'll talk again. I look forward to it. It is fun to connect with you about some of your kids and your family and so forth. And congratulations on number 10 there. I still remember you coming into the training room on weekends and your little girls, the oldest one now, 21, like ducks in a row. They were so well behaved. Like, look, I got 3 in my household now, and I don't have enough orders. I'll bet you do with your 10 in your household there. You and Tiff run a tight ship. The girls and the 3 boys now, they're all great. So well behaved, good parenting, good coaching, it all ties together.
The girls that you're referencing, yeah, I mean, we would come up there. They used to love going, can we go to the facility? And yeah, so that oldest, Hallie, just got married in January. So Hallie's married, and Caroline is graduated high school last year and kind of headed on her way, doing good. And Grace, so the 3 girls that you referenced, and Grace is a junior here at the high school. So yeah, they grow up fast. But yeah, it's like having, that's been the biggest, not the biggest help. Tiffany's amazing. It's unbelievable. I couldn't say enough about her. But having the girls as the oldest really helps. You talk about 21, 19, and 17-year-old girls being able to help out with the younger ones. So anyway, it's awesome. Just thankful and loving it. So good catching up with you, Doc. You're the best.
All right. Thank you, buddy. Thanks again to Philip Rivers, first guest for the 2024 off-season Pro Football Doc Sports Injury Central podcast. We'll take a quick break and come back with our usual rundown, NBA, baseball, and free agent signings and injuries. And thanks again, Philip. All right. Welcome back to part 2 of the Sports Injury Central Pro Football Doc podcast. Thanks to Philip Rivers, 1L and Philip Rivers there. There's a lot more to talk about there. I sort of cut it short. It's funny how the worlds collide and so forth. So John Lynch, let me tell you a couple of things on John Lynch. Love John Lynch, San Diego guy. We talked about it before. John Lynch, I didn't want to talk about this with Philip on. In some ways, you understand, Philip came in, was drafted, right? The whole Eli trade, and there was a holdout. So he didn't start week 1. So it was Drew Brees. And Drew, we've talked about the injected shoulder, this, that, the other, and then played well that year. 12-4, our first AFC West championship, or at least mine, with the team. Then next year, it was Drew again. And Philip was sitting the second year, right? Because how do you place a guy that wins, and remember, fateful Week 16 game, or the 16th game of the season in San Diego. We were out of the playoffs already, 9-7, and Drew Brees injures his throwing shoulder. Who was the guy who tackled it?
I'm gonna guess John Lynch.
John Lynch, Denver Broncos.
Wow.
Now, it wasn't like purposeful or bad or injury. I mean, it was just a football play.
Yeah.
And that's when he dislocated his shoulder. And that was the end of Drew in San Diego. But of course, Philip was ready to go too, right? I mean, it was his 3rd year.
Yeah.
So there's that linkage. And also one time, I think it was at a Pro Bowl or something, John Lynch says something to me. Tell me about Philip. So what do you mean? Like, he basically said, that guy's always John. I hate that guy. remember there were
division
rivalries.
Yeah.
Broncos, and the Broncos quarterback was a little bit mouthy too, right? At the time. And Philip, all clean, dadgummit and things, but yeah, and John Lynch, I remember John saying to me that he's not sure what's he really like, that he doesn't really like him because of the perceived
on-field impression of
but he did say mad respect that he played through the torn ACL, and we talked a little bit, and obviously that's interesting, how the world goes around. But I did not know that, and it totally makes sense, right? So it's not like a lack of confidence in Brock Purdy. You didn't know what he had.
Right.
Jimmy G was hurt. What if Brock Purdy doesn't work out? Here we got to get contingency plan.
Right.
So I misunderstood that contingency plan. As I was always wondering. So was the contingency plan to bring in Philip if he got hurt in the NFC Championship game? I mean, how you can't get on the phone during the game and say we need a contingency plan in case we win this game for the Super Bowl. It was a longer term contingency plan, and so that makes some sense.
I wanted to comment on the Drew Brees. So the Drew Brees shoulder happened week 16 of his second year. of Rivers. So it was a second career game. And then the third year, he started majority of the year. Not to start, though, but then majority of the third year.
Of Rivers' third year? He started
Yes.
every game his third
Yep.
year.
Third year, he was, let me see here, 8 for 11. So I'm not, are you sure he started that game?
100%.
Yeah.
Well, isn't that what I said?
Yeah.
Like Phillip came in his rookie year holdout.
Holdout. Drew
And-
Brees was in place the second year. Yeah.
And
Second
Drew
year,
was,
yeah,
we were
full
1-2 playing at home, and there were already calls for benching Drew Brees and playing
Right.
Rivers. Drew hurts, and I've told the story here before, his shoulder.
Final game of the second.
No. He said that in Rivers' rookie year, Drew hurts his shoulder in the fourth game of the season at home and ends up with an injection in his shoulder the rest of the season,
Right.
but ends up turning it around, and we were 12-4, winning the AFC West that year, which meant Rivers' second year, he was on the bench again in favor of Drew Brees because he led us to an AFC West championship before division title. Before that, Drew's first 2 years, they weren't spectacular. That's why we were in position and wanted to draft a quarterback. So stayed him off the second year. And then the 16th game of the season, Drew started all the games. He was hurt. Now Drew was a free agent, which also made the decision easy. Here we have Rivers ready and, to let him go. It's in some ways, it's like, let Brett Favre go because you have Aaron Rodgers. Let Aaron Rodgers go because you have Jordan Love. We have Rivers here. And obviously, good for Drew. He went on to an even better career than he did in San Diego. But
He fumbled
anyways.
on the play, too. Sacked by Lynch. Fumbled.
That's
Yep.
I know. And to Drew's credit, he was diving for the ball and reaching out with his throwing shoulder, and that's how he got injured. To Drew's credit, he was not letting that ball lay on the turf. It was still in the closed end of the stadium. I still remember it. The non-scoreboard side of the stadium, the closed end of the stadium to our left, near the goal line is the play. And he's going to look up he doesn't believe that I remember this stuff. Anyways, so it's just funny, the small world and all the things. And as Phillip said, you root for people, like Shane Steichen, he was with the Chargers. So he's still talking to Shane at Indy, etc. Frank Reich, was with the Chargers and so forth. So just a small world altogether.
No, you make an interesting point. From the outside, it looks like GMs are reactionary, like they're making these signings in the moment. Oh, Brock Purdy went down, we need to sign Phillip. Like, no, that process started months ago when they were talking to him and he's working out and throwing routes and all that stuff.
And that added, so for the record, it wasn't doubt of Brock Purdy.
Right.
It was, we need a contingency plan for any rookie first time starting QB, not specific to Purdy. Obviously it's worked out. And I think Phillip was careful to say that it started when Jimmy G got hurt. And that would totally make more sense. Cause let me tell you, that's what GMs do and front offices do. They sit around all day long saying, what if,
right.
And they start the process. And, so that does make sense, because I didn't think it made sense. Oh, just bring him in for the Super Bowl. And Phillip said he wouldn't even feel comfortable necessarily doing that. And so I should have realized that was the case more than that. All right, let's hit some other things real quick here. And then...
Busy NFL day. Just want to mention Kirk Cousins official signing with the Falcons. Well, you pointed out nothing's official until the physical.
He's going to pass his physical. Don't worry about the tennis court stuff. He's on pace. You can still see it's his right Achilles. He's not 100%, but he's not a running guy. He will be in good enough shape. He will be the week 1 starter, ready with his Achilles with the Falcons. No worries about that one. And so will Aaron Rodgers be the barring injuries to either one of those two.
Right.
No issues there. No physical, no injury. Sorry, no free agent signing is final until the physicals pass. See Roger Saffold with the Raiders in 2014. But I'm expecting guys to pass their physical. I'm not saying that there's going to be something hidden. It happened with baseball too, with Carlos Correa.
Right.
I mean,
Twice.
he a couple times got bounced out after agreed to terms. So I'm just saying the ink isn't dry until the physicals pass. But yes, no one no one reneges on the deal truly, whether it's agent, player, or team. Their name would be mud. But for teams, it is a way physical if you do have some buyer's remorse. I mean, remember with Roger Saffold, the St. Louis Rams took Roger Saffold back and said, he's fine. We're not worried about him. But the Raiders were just saying, with that shoulder issue, we don't know that we want to pay him top dollar with that shoulder issue.
$50 million less was the Rams deal.
Yeah. So it's all about a price tag, right?
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the Rams, old maid theory, still own that injury regardless. And the Raiders were just not willing to take it on brand new. So it's in the eye of the beholder. And there are differences of opinions. For example, Denver Bronco does not want Russell Wilson at quarterback, but the Pittsburgh Steelers do, especially for just $1.21 million. They do, right? Based on what they have. So it's beauty is in the eye of the beholder. The physical is perfunctory. There are some occasional surprises. That's it.
I want to jump over to NBA. Had an unfortunate injury take place last night. Houston center Alperen Sengun left the court on a wheelchair, grabbing at his knee, but I think we saw more in the ankle.
Knee and ankle both, right?
Right.
The knee view was not as clear because the camera missed it on one angle, and another angle, the other player, the opponent, blocked his knee. Worry for an LCL or PCL sprain. We'll see what the MRI shows, but he did turn his ankle in the same play. Pretty significant
knee and
ankle injury. So he's going to miss some time here. The question is how much. Hopefully non-surgical for knee and ankle. I don't think the ankle is going to be surgical, but he's going to miss multiple weeks at this point in time.
So I know what you're going to lead to is like the shutdown season. So the Rockets are 11th. They're just outside the play-in. Like these are teams that you think they're going to start to players. I know last year, Trailblazers, Lillard and Nurkic both sat out half of the year last year.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know that Houston's at shutdown season yet. They got to see what's happening with their center, and maybe they can still sneak in, and maybe they can get him healthy for the playoffs. Maybe the play-in is still going to be worth it. Teams that are mathematically eliminated, I think, undergo shutdown. The Lillard example you're talking about, we said all year, I think he's got a core muscle that he's playing through, and he's going to need surgery. Well, he played that rest of that season until the Trailblazers were out of it, and then he shut it down, or the team shut him down, and he had the core muscle surgery.
There's an example of the Spurs and the Washington Wizards. They've already been eliminated. There's a player like Victor Wembanyama. He's getting a shoulder, ankle. He's starting to be on the injury report a lot lately. So that's maybe a player that eventually will get shut down in a couple of weeks, maybe.
Well, they'll need a reason to shut him down. They won't shut him down just to shut him down. But if there is an injury that he might be better served to get a head start on the off season, then obviously he's proven to be pretty good so far. So he would be a shutdown candidate, and what that means long term.
Another key one was Karl-Anthony Towns. Looked like our analysis was correct that the surgery and kind of right away surgery is the best case scenario to get him back for the playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, I love all these code words now. Meniscus issue, meniscus injury. No one wants to use meniscus tear.
No
right?
tears, no strains, nothing like that.
Yeah. So, get the knee scope and be back in 4 to 6 weeks, get back and get healthy in time for the playoffs, even if not the first round, the second round.
And they're a top 3 team.
So. I think that's why we were saying, I think he's going to have the scope. This is why I always say injuries aren't the same. Look, if they were already into the playoffs and deep into it, maybe he tries to roll and see what happens. But there's a little bit of time to get healthy here, get completely healthy first here for Karl-Anthony Towns.
Another top 3 team, the Cavaliers, with Mitchell. He just got a PRP injection recently. So that's someone that they're trying to get ready for the playoffs as well.
He's out a couple weeks of rest after the PRP. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, Steph Curry is another one that people are concerned about, the right ankle sprain, but there's nonchalant response from you, Doc, for that, because
he does it all the time to both ankles, right? He chronically wears ankle braces. He's got chronic ankle ligamentous laxity, which I say is good news because you're not tearing new ligaments. The ligaments are already stretched, which gives him a chance to come back more quickly. Look closely at Steph. He's got the ankle braces on both sides, and he's had chronic both side ankle sprains. One of these years, who knows, he may finally have an off-season ankle surgery to tighten it up to prevent that from happening again, but it's no news. Steph Curry rolling his ankle, it's fairly routine. And because he's already damaged the ligaments, he can usually make a quicker comeback.
They said he'll be reevaluated tomorrow. So like,
Yeah, I think he's going to come back more quickly than people think.
Last on the list is baseball. Things heating up spring training. I know the South Korea series is about a week away. MRI for Gerrit Cole. I know everyone's concerned. We want to Carney trick you and say what's going on inside the elbow, but sometimes not that simple with pitchers in general.
I don't like to guess. We don't like to guess. There's no video and there's no other data, but it is concerning. Anytime you say elbow pitcher, concerning. And I'm not saying it's a Tommy John. He doesn't have a history of that. But when you say elbow pitcher, that's concerning. When he hasn't had a big workload and he's getting symptoms, it's concerning. I'm not saying his season is over. I'm not saying he needs Tommy John surgery, but I am saying this is a big deal, and that I would be, if I were a Yankees fan or a Gerrit Cole fan and said, look, he misses the first month of the season and he's fine the rest of the way, Cy Young Award winner,
you're taking that.
I'd say take it.
Yeah.
That's a good result. At this point, that is a good result. He misses the first month of the season and is ready to go. And after that, that is a good result. Take it. So I don't know what that does to his Cy Young chances. I don't know what that does to the Yankees rotation, et cetera, but that's where the expectation is. This is something to watch and follow. And I mean, you'd have to be pretty darn lucky to say the MRI's fine, no issues, full steam ahead, starting opening day, starting pitcher, the whole deal. That would be a surprise at this point in time.
I'll say what they did is they took the AL Cy Young completely off the board for now. So they will wait for him because he probably was the front runner after last year. But yeah, there's nothing right now.
On the NL MVP, I still like Tatis. Okay, I'm jaded. I just went to spring training with my son.
Scouting in person, yeah.
No, it just has to do with the kid's 25 years old.
Yeah.
And he's missed time recently, last year due to suspension. But he got all his wrist fixed and his shoulder fixed. So no more injury issues, at least right now. He's 25 and healthy. And in each of the last 3 years, if he played a full season, he projects to be the MVP. And he's healthy. He's plus 1,000. Acuna with his meniscus issues is plus 500.
Sold on completely as well.
He might miss some time in this season. Otani isn't going to pitch. Can he really be an MVP just hitting? Maybe, but remember, he's sharing the spotlight with Mookie Betts, who got moved to shortstop. So, that's harder for Mookie, but also you're splitting the vote. And also there's Freddie Freeman in there splitting the vote.
Three-way race on the same team.
So three-way, race on the same team. Acuna single race, but meniscus issues, and a 25-year-old Tatis now comfortable in right field, returning to right field this year.
Yeah, focusing on hitting only.
Yeah, I mean,
if you don't count the 2 years he missed, he was rookie of the year and then 4th and 3rd MVP race. So he's
fourth and third with partial seasons.
Right? Yes, absolutely.
So a lot of value there.
Yeah, you can head to sixscore.com. We got MLB insights, NBA insights, all the latest breaking issues, and including some NFL free agency, looking at the draft prospects, all that stuff. So stay tuned. Beast of the week, I got Anthony Edwards. I don't know if you've seen the clip, Doc, of Anthony Edwards on the block, hitting his head on the rim. He sprained his left ankle 30 seconds into that game and came back and did that.
Well, that's pretty good there.
Said he was sore after the game.
There were a couple other college basketball interesting ones. I don't know if they're
contact with that too. We're going to release.
I mean, we said court storming Kyle Filipowski's knee was hurt, not injured. Well, he came back.
What do you say? That is it tripping or court storming? Worse.
I mean, he did. Come on, he did.
The big rivalry game.
Trip the North Carolina.
That was a little less debatable than the first one.
Yeah, he did trip the kid. Well, his knee's fine, right? Yeah. So that's good.
You used that knee to trip, right? It was the same knee?
Well, I just asked the question. It was the same knee, but more dangerous, court storming or tripping on the court? I don't know. Neither one is super high danger, so let's just move on from that. But the one that I hadn't seen before, I forget what school it was. Did you see the cheerleader? They're welcoming the home.
Yes.
And she does a back round off or whatever. What do you call it? I don't even know. I should know. My 11-year-old daughter who does cheerleading and does all those things from a standstill, she'd be mad at me that I don't know what it's called, but I don't know what it's called. But the bottom line is, maybe you'll clip in the video, she takes an extra step back instead of a standstill and then double kicks their own player and literally knocks them out in
Oh.
the head. I mean,
Tumbling, isn't it called tumbling?
I shouldn't laugh at that. I mean, that was
That's rough.
I've never seen that before, though. When
I'd never seen that before. I mean, my comment was, I'm not sure double kicks to the head are legal in UFC. Man, that was unfortunate accident there. And no, we don't need to ban cheerleaders. Just a few more safety precautions. Same with court storming. I don't think we need to ban in some safety precautions for the guys is all.
Yeah, March Madness heating up, so we'll have
March Madness. I think let's
scores on
work
that.
on a March Madness guest next week here. We'll put out some feelers and so forth. Thanks for watching Sports Injury Central Pro Football Dog podcast. Give us a nice 5-star review, and if you have any guest suggestions, send them along to SIC Score Twitter or Pro Football Dog Twitter, and we'll reach out. But I think we're going to target a March Madness person next. And to me, the off season is fun. I'm not a very good interview person, but
You're a good conversationalist.
Yeah, that's what the forum's for with Philip. So thanks to him for being on.
Yeah, conversation is good, just fly on the wall conversation. All right, thanks for listening and watching Believe Sports Injury Central podcast.